So I'm a little behind on the conversation that's been happening in the armored combat world right now about helmet and helmet safety. I did make a video very recently on different types of helmets and not to get too concerned about the helmet type and what I consider important when I'm looking at a helmet. And that's all well and good. But there's been a conversation going, and it's been a little bit heated, talking about helmet safety, perf plates, eye bars, and all that, and I want to get into it. So why am I talking about this? Well, let's talk about the fact that there are different leagues with different rules, and it's not uniform. So understand that in your league, community, your rule, whether in the U.S. or overseas, it all can depend on what your rules are for safety. But the big debate that's come up is certain companies have started adding a perf plate as an option to their helmet. So for those who know perf plate, perforated plate, basically just a metal plate that goes by your eyes like an eye guard. It's got small holes in it so you can see through it clearly, but should stop any kind of thrusting strike in. An additional safety piece, right? So we'll talk about that as well as additional eye bars that you can add to your helmet so that you have less chance of something getting into your eye. I'll be honest, this debate fascinates me, and here's the reason why. I've got an approach and a take I don't think anyone else, I haven't heard anyone else talk about. And the take is really simply that athletes, fighters, whatever you want to call us, are really bad at safety. Like, this is universal across sports, in my opinion. And one of the weird things is we're as fighters, as competitors, we're debating over what we should be allowed to do or not do for safety. You hear different sides of the argument. You hear the sportifying side saying, safety, just add more safety, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter about looks or one extreme. Looks don't matter at all, safety first, right? The other side saying historical accuracy is the thing that matters. And if your helmet isn't safe enough, buy a helmet that is safe, that has more historically accurate, that might have worse vision or breathability and all that stuff. Or, wolf ribs should just be outlawed if you don't think they're safe enough. Or wolf ribs should be fine, we should add extra safety bars to them. And there's kind of this whole debate in between. But what's really weird to me is this is the only sport I can think of where there's a potential safety protocol, and the feedback seems to be, in general, you decide what you want to do as the competitor. You can get the safest helmet, or you can get the least safe helmet. And it's really strange to me. It's really strange that there's not a codified, universal understanding that safety matters. And here's why I think it is. I think the reason is really twofold. One, athletes in every sport don't take care of themselves with long-term safety. They don't. They take care of themselves maybe with workouts and training and health in that area, but they don't think of their safety in match. And part of that's because of our ego, which is a good thing. We believe that we're going to be safe because we believe we're good, because we think we're good. If we don't think we're good, we can't fight. We believe we're good. We believe we're good, and we believe we're safe, and we believe we're talented, and we believe that we are going to win and we're not going to get hurt. We have to go into it thinking we're not going to get hurt. If I go into every fight afraid, I wouldn't compete well. So that's a mindset thing. You have to have that mindset. I don't want to trust that mindset empirically with safety. And here's my examples. Every other sport that involves a helmet. Football. When football tried to introduce helmets, even leather helmets, it was outrage from people. It wasn't until there were like deaths, lots of people dying, and it went all the way up to presidential level, to Congress. They almost made football illegal, and they had put in safety rules, including helmets, to make it so that you could play football. And since then, they've added more and more safety to it, but there's been pushback every step of the way from the athletes, from the competitors, because they don't want anything that could be a disadvantage in the moment. Like, people don't want extra eye bars and extra perf plate because it's going to limit their vision, or it's not going to be as breathable, or who cares? But it's because we're not good at taking care of ourselves. It's just the way it is. Hockey, another great example. Hockey players in the NHL are finally now wearing plexiglass eye protection because people were like losing eyes. They still aren't wearing full cages, but they're wearing protection. That was a slow process of pushing that in there. And athletes won't take care of themselves. They just won't. I was reading a while ago about hurling in Ireland, a game with the stick and the ball, the fastest ball moving in any turf sport, I believe, and getting their keepers, their goalies, to wear helmets was like a huge conflict in a fight, even though you were hitting a ball in people's heads at like 100 miles an hour or something. Really, maybe not that fast. It was ridiculously fast. Could be faster. Point is, dangerous. It took a long time before it was okay. There's ego, there's manliness, there's toughness, or whatever you want to call it. And part of that's good. Part of that is there because we have to believe we're strong and good to be good at things. But also sometimes it's just like, I don't want to look like a baby. I don't want to be weak. That also plays into it sometimes, depending on the people. So here's the problem in our sport and why this is such a hard thing to change. And this is the crux of my argument or point is, we don't have kids competing. Look at every other sport that's increased its safety protocols that is a dangerous sport. Where did a lot of that safety come from? It came from the youth programs. It came from we didn't want our kids getting hurt. So our kids got better helmets. Our kids, hockey's an awesome example. They made kids start wearing full cage, like, masks. And those kids grew up. They started playing higher and higher levels. They made them wear these things in college. And then when we got the NHL, it wasn't so unusual or strange to continue that tradition. And the culture shifted, the zeitgeist shifted, the paradigm shifted, whatever you want to call it. We don't have that shift because we don't have kids competing. If you had a bunch of kids, 12-year-olds fighting this at like some level, and there was a chance of them being stabbed in the eye, everyone would be like, no, those helmets aren't safe. They're not good. So we would fix it, and eventually that would trickle up. We just don't have that. So we can't trust ourselves as individual fighters to look at our own safety. That shit is dumb. We never want to do it. We're not going to do it well. There needs to be a body that determines it and looks at it empirically on what they consider safe or not, insurance and legal and all that stuff as well. And if something isn't safe and people are at risk of losing eyes on a real basis, it should be changed. You can change it a couple ways. You can eliminate wolf ribs, as an example, or any helmet with an open eye slot, which is that's the most common people talk about. You can just say, no, those are illegal. Fine. Change the rules. Done. Okay, people will be upset, I'm sure. I'm thinking I'm getting a wolf rib. I'll be upset, right? But you could do that, and that would be a reasonable decision of saying we have to go back to safer ones. Or you could add modern safety procedures to the helmets people are using, like saying you have to have perf plate and extra eye bars or whatever, because that would allow you to participate in a competitive sport level with other helmets. So really, I don't understand the argument about just use a safer helmet. Well, people have helmets. If they can make them safer and they're legal, they should be able to. We make a lot of exceptions in the sport for non-historical things. I mean, God, I fight in primarily or half titanium at this point. There was no titanium back in then, right? I use a modern cup for safety support. I have anti-concussion padding in my helmet. Our weapons are not sharp, obviously, but they're also not even historically accurate in many ways. They're just looks like axes, and they're still legal, right? They look like swords in some ways, and they're not really exact. But we've got this weird thing with the helmets, where if someone wants to put a perforated plate and blacken it so you can't see it, that we go, no, that's not legal. I think unfortunately, my concern is eventually something bad's going to happen. Someone's going to really lose an eye in a big, big environment, and it's going to force a change when we could have thought ahead of it. I've seen this happen. As I mentioned, other sports. I know professional paintball had some actual injuries due to the lack of safety with some of their helmets and their straps, and they had to add straps on so they couldn't be ripped off and things like that. We've seen it in every, we've seen it in football. We've had it added extra modern helmets and things. There's been concussion concerns. Like, all these things should be things we're taking seriously. And the fact that we are just debating amongst ourselves as though either any of us are authorities who are making our own safety decisions, like, intellectually, is not good. We should have someone looking at this, or a group looking at it from the idea of what's going to sustain the sport, what's safe, and if it's not safe enough, let's eliminate it. That's my opinion. I can't remember who posted it. I really can't, but someone did. And they said, someone asked them, like, well, you're saying that wolf ribs aren't safe enough and they should have extra bars or they should be eliminated, yet you fight in a wolf rib. And the person said, I think the rules should be changed, but I'm taking my own risks. And I think that's the core of this argument, if you really look at it, is that it's really strange that way we work as humans, that I can know something's dangerous and I can continue to do it, and it takes someone external. It takes someone sitting around a group and writing the rules to say, let's look at all the fighters and what makes sense for everybody and is safe for everyone. So in my opinion, perf play should be allowed and should be Extra eye bars should be allowed. And they should become standardized, be culturally standardized in our sport. In the same way that every sport I've ever seen, as it becomes bigger and bigger, you add safety procedures so you can have more people do it, more people play it, you continue to do it longer and longer. That's my take. Agree, disagree, fight in the comments. I don't care. Like, subscribe, follow. That's all I care about. And if you'd like to buy a shirt to support me, there's a link down below.